Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Dawood Ahmed behind the camera now. He met me a little earlier. We're going to talk to our narrator, Brother Janae Latif. Give him an opportunity to tell us his story and where he came from and things of that nature. So Janae, you can just start off with tell us where you from, where were you born.
Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah, everybody. My name is Janae Latif. I was born in New York back in '75, and grew up mostly on the East Coast, and I've actually just moved to the Midwest in 2001. I was born an Ahmadi Muslim, as I was talking to Janae a little bit earlier about, and went through a lot of the trials and tribulations, I think, of a lot of young American, African American, youth, coming up, in our society. So, a lot of the pitfalls that, a lot of people get caught up in. I, went through a lot of the same things. I think the benefit, or what helped me to realize that a lot of those paths that I was walking was wrong, is like Alpha was saying, is that, that foundation of Islam, what I mean? So I was always had a foundation that taught me that there was something else out there to strive for. So, I got to a point where I said, I looked at my life and I looked at the life my parents were living and a lot of the people that they were hanging around with and the peace that they had attained in their lives, as opposed to, just running around chasing, whatever, illusory thing pops up, what I mean? It just wasn't a fulfilling lifestyle. So I decided to really look at some of the teachings that I was brought up in, and, I saw the beauty in it and the freedom that came with it, even by restricting yourself, you actually set yourself, free from a lot of the shackles that, a lot of these material things put on us. So I think in the end, the biggest thing that I've gotten out of making that realization of, what it is to be an Ahmadi and really accepting Ahmadi for myself is just a basic sense of freedom and focus, and a purpose in my life, that I don't think I had before. Even though I was born in Ahmadi, what I mean, until I got to the point where I realized what the purpose of it was. I really didn't have that direction. And once I understood Ahmadi, or I'm still searching to understand Ahmadi fully, realizing my life, it's really given me a lot of direction, and the way it's helped me is, can't put it in words like Brother Amir said, what I mean?
So did you have any experience where you say you were born Ahmadi, but sometimes you don't truly see it for what it is until a certain thing may happen, or what made you come to that realization that that Ahmadiyya was true?
It's funny because, I kind of always knew that Ahmadiyya was true in the sense of, academically, like, what I mean? Like, I would have, back out east, everybody was 5%ers, what I mean? So me and the guys I came up with, we would always, go back and forth on theological stuff, and, I would kind of, break down what I thought the flaws of their, viewpoints were. But at the same time, I was doing the same thing that they was doing. So, I had all this information in my head, but I couldn't connect it with what I was doing at the time, you know what I'm saying? So, it wasn't until I done some crazy stuff, got into some trouble, and I'm thinking, like, why do I keep ending up in the same, situation, what I mean? Like, broke, looking crazy, and, it's like, man, this is not working. And, but the teachings were always there. So I think for me, it was just a matter of keep, banging my head against the wall, and Allah blessed me enough to where I never went so far off where I couldn't come back, what I mean? He always gave me the ability to be able to look at the situation I'm in and realize, what's wrong with it. And somehow it was always a way that, I had to look at my father's life and, the people at the mosque and things like that and see the direction their lives was going. So I always had something to kind of, an example to look at, and that kept pulling me back to the right way. And then, my parents prayed, I mean,
get recourse.
the prayers that they, I to this day, I don't think I've ever seen anybody pray like my parents have prayed, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would come home, you know, crazy night out, and, you know, my father on the prayer rug type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, I'm on the prayer rug behind my father, and he's up there, and he's just crying, you know, crying his eyes out. And I'm back there like, man, I know he's crying because, you know, me and my brother's crazy, you know what I mean? So, you know, so, I mean, but that was, I mean, I know that that's what, you know, what kept me from going too far off and kept my brothers from going too far off. And it was just the prayers of my father and, you know, a lot of other brothers in the community that really loved us and was looking out for us. And, you know, by the grace of God, you know, that enabled us to, you know, stay here and hopefully pass it on to our families, and, you know, hopefully the, you know, nonsense that was in our line before my father accepted Islam to be, you know, ended forever, you know, through me or through my brothers and, you know, things like that. So, yeah, it's
one thing I keep hearing, you know, from the brothers, and they may say it in different ways, but it's basically the same thing, is the love within the Ahmadiyya Jamaat. And like for me, I think it stems from the love that the Prophet Messiah had for the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, you know, anyone want to speak on that love within
Actually, for me, like I said earlier, when I came, I met him. When I came to the mosque, my first day as an Ahmadi, I met him. The love that he showed me is like we are brothers from a different mother.
Right.
That's why we always say. And then the love that Pa Hassan and Brother Abu and everybody else that I felt when I came to Ahmadiyya, I knew this was the place. I just signed the bayat. I knew this is where I belong. This is what I was looking for. And Allah brought me to this. You know, so that's where I'm going to stay. And inshallah, we will keep that love and brotherhood. Like they said, the brotherhood of faith is stronger than the brotherhood of blood. You know, because those are the people you can trust with your life.
That's
And
your real family.
yes, it's your real family. Because as they say, there are two groups in the world: the ones with the faith, with Allah, and the ones without. There is no in between. Those are the two groups.
And Ahmadis come from all over the world with all different types of backgrounds.
That's right.
Oh yes.
I was just gonna say.
And I mean, all different races, nationalities, ethnic groups, you know, with many different backgrounds, you know, and all found, you know, the same faith. And the thing about the Ahmadiyya movement is no matter where you go on this earth, wherever you see the faith, we practice it the same.
Right.
You know, there's no confusion.